I would just say that his leadership in California is good reason to brush him off for the loser that he really is. Okay? You're over there in China talking about fentanyl, right? How about you clean up your own house? How about you take a look at what's happening with the prosecutions or lack of prosecutions of the drug traffickers in your state?
Ana Kasparian went on the Patrick Bet-David podcast with the Valuetainment crew, and Patrick Bet-David asked her some questions, kind of backed her into some corners that forced Ana Kasparian to absolutely destroy the left. And this clip here is probably the most nuclear out of all of the clips from this podcast that I have covered so far. It's been a very, very interesting podcast. It's an interesting watch if you haven't watched the entire thing. But this clip is probably the most nuclear one out of all of them, because Ana Kasparian absolutely shreds the left because Patrick Bet-David basically puts her in a corner to where she has no choice but to do that. Let's get into this clip here of Patrick Bet-David and Ana Kasparian absolutely tearing the left apart.
And you should go online and you should watch the videos of we spent $13 billion in Los Angeles alone last year to combat homelessness. You want to know where that money went? That money went to these trash nonprofits who have a bunch of executives making $500,000 a year. You're working for a nonprofit dealing with homelessness. That's my money. That's my parents' money. Okay? That is the hardworking people of California paying incredibly high taxes that go to what? So yeah, I'm sick of it. I'm sick of it. And honestly,
genuine question. What does the taxes in California go towards? Because most of the things, like I get roads are probably pretty nice in California. I don't know. I don't go there often, but in terms of like the larger cities, the roads, I mean, they're probably pretty nice. San Francisco, Los Angeles, everything else is pretty god awful, you know, like the police department, you know, they're not allowed to actually arrest people for shoplifting unless they, you know, shoplift over $1,000 or whatever. And there's just crime running rampant all over. So obviously they're not going towards, you know, law enforcement. They're not going towards homelessness because that's absolutely awful in Los Angeles and San Francisco. So what is the taxes going towards that Californians are paying so much for? Because they have really, really high taxes. I don't know if it's higher in New York or in California, but they're definitely one of the highest states in terms of taxes. So where is all that money that these people are paying going to? It is a genuine question, and Ana Kasparian brings up a great point there.
Just experiencing what I've seen on the ground in California has made me question a lot about left-wing ideology.
Now, what do you think about your governor going and spending time with Xi this last week? I'll read the story to you. I think even just happened maybe yesterday.
He was there yesterday.
Yeah, so here you go. California Governor Newsom has surprising meeting with China's leader Xi amid warm welcome in Beijing. California Governor Newsom during his visit to Beijing underscores a shift in U.S.-China relations. Newsom's focus on climate cooperation comes in heightened tensions between the two nations, with Xi expressing hope that the visit would...
If you enjoy content like this, make sure you leave a like and subscribe to the channel. It really does help me out a ton. Let's get back to the video.
...enhance cooperation between China and California. Xi stated, "I hope your visit will enhance mutual understanding between the two sides and play a positive role in expanding cooperation between China and California and promoting the healthy and stable development of Sino-U.S. relations." During these discussions, Newsom and Xi addressed the acceleration of climate progress and combating the transnational shipping of precursor chemicals for synthetic drugs such as fentanyl. Xi hinted at the possibility of attending the Asia-Pacific Economic Cooperation Summit in San Francisco and meeting with U.S. President Joe Biden. Why do you think he's in China?
He's in China.
I think, and I don't think this is what Ana Kasparian is going to say at all, I think Gavin Newsom's in China because China is to Democrats what Ben Shapiro's favorite country is to Republicans. While Republicans are completely sold out to the Middle East and Ben Shapiro's favorite country, Democrats are completely sold out to China. That's what I think. Let's hear what Ana Kasparian has to say about it.
Because he already thinks of himself as the president. Okay. I have no doubt that eventually it'll come to a point where the Democratic Party has decided, no, this is the person you need to vote for. Anyone who speaks out against him is the enemy. I would just say that his leadership in California is good reason to brush him off for the loser that he really is. Okay? You're over there in China talking about fentanyl, right? How about you clean up your own house? How about you take a look at what's happening with the prosecutions or lack of prosecutions of the drug traffickers in your state? He can't be bothered to deal with that, right? He can't be bothered to deal with the absolute degenerate garbage that comes out of his administration. Instead, he's going to China pretending as if everything he's been doing in California is great. And he's a great leader who, has that road paved for him to be president. I can't stand Newsom. Okay, we're talking about a guy who has implemented policies that has increased crime in his state. And then he turns around and says, no, I'm going to sign off on this legislation that bans bulletproof vests in California. What? You're going to ban bulletproof vests without addressing the obvious violent crime that's happening in your state, that's on tape, that's all over the media. He just wants to pretend
this is a base statement from Ana Kasparian for sure. And it is wild that I believe what Ana Kasparian is saying is true. Eventually Gavin Newsom is going to be the candidate on the Democratic Party, and they're going to say, if you don't vote for Gavin Newsom, you ain't black, like in the words of Joe Biden. But basically, you're not a Democrat unless you vote for Gavin Newsom. You're not woke enough unless you vote for Gavin Newsom. You're shunned from the cult unless you vote for Gavin Newsom and support him. And like The View tries to do with Charlemagne the God. If you don't go on their show and on your own show and endorse Biden, you are basically shunned from the woke cult. You're canceled. And the same thing is going to happen with Gavin Newsom too. And it's crazy because he runs one of the states that it's really going downhill. He's doing one of the worst jobs at his politician job currently of every politician that could possibly be the Democratic candidate going forward. He's doing one of the worst jobs. At least for DeSantis, Florida is in a pretty good spot, right? I don't like DeSantis. I don't think he's presidential enough. And obviously a lot of other people feel the same way because as soon as he started his actual presidential campaign, everybody started to see who DeSantis really was, how he carried himself and everything. And that kind of just shriveled away. But at least Florida is in a good spot. He's doing a good job with Florida. Gavin Newsom is not. He's not doing a good job with California at all. He's doing, like I said, one of the worst jobs. So it is kind of scary that we all know that this is coming. We all know that Gavin Newsom is eventually going to be the Democratic candidate 100%, even though everybody can also agree he's doing a really, really bad job. Almost as bad as you can possibly do. He is doing it.
He has done to the state hasn't actually happened, but it's happened and people are angry. They're furious about it. The thing that frustrates me is that a lot of people vote based on vibes, right? So they look at him and they see a relatively young guy with good hair and he carries himself well and they think that that's a leader. But look at his leadership in the state and then please come talk to me about how successful he's been.
And he's trying to put the fake on that right now. He's trying to put the head fake. He vetoed the bill about parents and trans. You saw that?
I did see that, yeah.
Then he vetoed a bill that was being pushed by the unions to enforce fully automated trucks that would go up and down I-5, that if they were a fully autonomous truck, they still had to have a human sort of driving the truck.
Insane.
And it
Insane.
was a jobs bill, basically, and he went against that.
He vetoed,
so
yep.
He picked a few things out to really kind of get this vibe moving toward the middle, and they chose to promote those things. I think the whole thing is a stage show, and I think the fix is in.
And I agree. I was just going to say this. So I agree with you 100%. He's one of the reasons that we left. I know he had trying to get a recall with Larry Elder. It didn't work out. But what? I can't wrap my head around why people keep voting for. It's not like it's just him. It's not changing. Huh? And you said you're not leaving because you want to make a change. What the hell can the people that are there do if they keep voting for the same exact people? Same as Chicago, same as Baltimore, same as all those.
There's nothing you can do. If you're in California, just get out. That's the only thing you can do. Those people in California who are still there, I get Ana Kasparian is starting to wake up to a lot of things. She's going on, people who think differently's podcasts from her, like Patrick Bet-David with Valuetainment and everything. And she's talking to a lot of people who disagree with what Ana Kasparian has believed, traditionally. But there's nothing you can do. Most people in California are not like Ana Kasparian. They're leftists, just like her, but they're completely brainwashed leftists who think that Gavin Newsom's doing a great job. And they're going to continue to vote for him forever. Because if they don't vote for him, they're shunned. They're looked at sideways because nobody can understand why you wouldn't vote for Gavin Newsom, even though the state and the large cities are in a horrible place. So there's nothing you can do. Nothing's going to be done. You just have to get out. That's the only thing you can do, in my opinion. Let me know in the comments if you think I'm wrong.
Those horribly ran states. Why do they keep voting for these people? I don't get it.
Look, I can't speak for other parts of the country, but I think California is notorious for voters who aren't really politically active, politically aware, and that has created a vacuum.
Or informed.
Yeah.
Well, when it comes to politics, I would say, right? And so that's created an opportunity for some of the more far left activist fringe of the party to basically take control of things. And I'm talking about like the individuals who think that it makes sense to literally abolish prisons and police, which
Unbelievable.
Let me know in the comments what you guys think about what Ana Kasparian and Patrick Bet-David had to say about Gavin Newsom, about the woke crowd in general. I thought it was very base coming from Ana Kasparian, coming from someone who I just don't expect these things to come from. But now I guess I am starting to expect it as she's starting to say these things, open up to these things more and more. Let me know in the comments what you think about this whole valuetainment, Patrick Bet-David and Ana Kasparian conversation.